I accelerated my success as a realtor by tuning into podcasts, and now it's time for me to give back. Join me while I chat with some of the top agents in the industry, gaining insight into how they became experts at selling real estate so you can too. Who am I? Well, I'm Mark Rawmaker. I went from selling $5 million in real estate my first year as a part-time agent to running a mega icon team who has sold over $260 million in real estate in just 5 years. I'll be your host while we talk to yet another amazing realtor crushing the game. Welcome to the Real Estate Ninja Podcast. Hey, we're here at the Real Estate Ninja Podcast. Now, if this is your first time, welcome. If you're a returning listener, good to see you again. On this episode, I'm super excited. We talked to Brian Stevens out of Lakeland, Florida. Now, Brian has over 2 decades of experience in real estate. He's going to break down all the secrets on how he sold $28 million last year as a real estate agent. $28 million. And he just had one assistant. Now, he does have a team, but that $28 million was all him, and he breaks it all down. He's going to give us strategies from creating listings with ease, from planning open houses to mastering digital marketing and more. It's a really cool chat. Brian's a super cool guy, and you are going to love this interview. But before we get started, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episode every time we drop a new one, because they're all going to be just as good as the ones you've heard before. And if you could give us a 5-star review, that way more people just like you can join in on this incredible podcast. All right, here's Brian Stevens. Hey, welcome to today's episode. Today, we are thrilled to have a special guest, Brian Stevens, joining us from sunny Lakeland, Florida. Brian is a seasoned real estate agent with over 20 years of experience helping buyers and sellers achieve their dreams. But that's not all. He's also passionate about sharing his knowledge with fellow agents and educating them on best practices in the real estate industry. We're excited to have Brian on the show today to share his insights on the real estate market and offer valuable tips to all agents. Get ready to learn from the best. Welcome, Brian Stevens. What's up, man? How are you?
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me on, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for that kind intro.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I actually had to shorten your intro because it was so long. I didn't want to read for 5 minutes. You are a seasoned agent, man. It's so fun.
Yes, that means I'm getting out there in the business, but it's all good. That's fine.
The more years you get, the longer your bio can be, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's the unwritten rule. So, as we do it, this podcast is about unpacking and getting some nuts and bolts of what you're doing in your business, how you get business, how you train. But to start off, just for some frame of reference, tell everybody about what you did before real estate, because it's very rare people just start when they're 12 into real estate.
Yeah.
What got you into real estate, and we'll just go from there.
Yeah. Well, so I grew up in Lakeland, Florida. My dad was a home builder for like 23 years right here in Polk County. So Central Florida, they went into the Kissimmee area a little bit, but so I kind of grew up in a model center. I mean, so my first experience was driving around with superintendents and learning how to build homes somewhat. I mean, very generally speaking. And then I got into the model center, and I was a new home sales counselor for, 3 or 4 years, did some property management. And then when his building company was, they were going to kind of slow it down, close it. I got my general real estate license in 97. And I said, let me try this. And so I kind of grew up, doing new homes and love it. Still do.
Did you work in the model home before you got your license?
I did, yes, because back then, good question. Back then, you didn't have to have your real estate license as long as you worked for an owner. I don't know if that's still the case. There's all kind of different rules.
Yeah, I think they need. Well, comment below if you know, but I think they need their license. I think they're all licensed agents. So that's pretty cool. So you just were manning the desk and doing here are the homes, here are the floor plans, all that stuff before you even technically got your real estate license.
I would show the home. I would help with the contract. So I got a really good feel of working with people, overcoming objections. And man, some of these new home counselors these days, I mean, you go in there, they're going to pre-qualify you. They're going to do your debt ratios. A couple of them here do. They're going to do a lot of the legwork right up front, the stuff that a lot of times we hand off to a lender to do, right, which is probably the more preferred way, right? However, a little bit of rough knowledge with FHA conventional loans, knowledge is power. Yeah. It does help us. It gives us credibility. And I always just to hit a side road, I always tell people when I'm talking to them, I know a little about this, but I don't want to play lender. So I want them to answer those specific questions, but I can give you some general, marching grounds just to kind of start off on.
Yeah, I do that too. I have a nice net sheet that I do on a buyer's net sheet of like, this is what it can cost, but it's just a guess. It's a guesstimate. It's an estimate. So don't take my word for it, but let's talk to the lender. So you got it. So 1997. That's when you got your license. That is so
Yeah.
cool. So I want to know. I have questions about that. Just from, I'm sure it's just life is different, right? That was before smartphones. You probably did. You MapQuest? How'd you go from showing to showing? That's
Man,
insane.
I got out a big map, a big, huge map. So we
Yeah.
had the MLS book. I know that sounds so old fashioned, but that's when
No,
I
it's
started the old
cool.
MLS book. And you could get it either every once a month or every 2 weeks. And I got it every 2 weeks. I wanted to spend more money. And then we'd get that book and we'd look through and we'd have to call them. So, but we'd have a map. I literally have a map and it was mapped out in Lakeland, northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast, and it was in quadrants, and that's how they put it on the MLS sheet
Wow.
where it was in the map, and then
So
you'd have to map
that
it. It
sounds
was
so
it
stressful.
was
That sounds, I
yeah.
mean, now with the technology at the time, you were like, that's what the job is. But so how did you just call the agent? I mean, there wasn't
Yeah.
showing time, right? You
No
just
one
called the
showing time.
agent.
There was nothing, man. You called them up. Is your listing available? I'd like to show it. I mean,
Oh
it was
man.
just, I don't
Lock
know if we had
boxes.
electronic lock boxes. Yeah, we had them, but they were just different. So
Yeah.
that was like when Palm Pilots were starting to come around, man.
Oh yeah.
So
I remember this.
yeah, yeah. So I had an
That
old
is.
pager. Anyways, yeah,
So let me
crazy.
ask, I'm just going to unpack this with you real quick. What in your career, because I know that I want to hear about the 20 years. I know you had a little side moment there too outside of it, but
Mm-hmm.
in the 20 years, have you as an agent, because I've been in it for 8 years. So as technology is turning and as the industry is turning, you've been there longer. So how were you adapting technology or changes? Obviously you're still successful. So obviously well, but
Mm-hmm.
what was your mindset like even when things first started changing to now?
I just had to roll with it. I mean, I'm still technology, and I still do paper, and I mean, I still got stuff. I still take notes, man. I take paper notes, and I'll still do that. I do both. I'm not, but I'm definitely a lot more technology. But you just have to roll with it. I mean, whatever works for you, whatever system works for you, you go with. So neither of them are right or wrong. My business partner still Russ. He still does a lot of stuff on paper and yellow pads and white pads. So I just had to learn to roll with it, and I love it. I love technology. My dad was big into technology. My wife loves technology, so yeah, I just kind of roll with it, man. It's
So
fun.
you just
It's
kind of
awesome.
keep your don't reinvent the wheel, but you also add to the vehicle, right? When a new piece of
Yes,
technology comes out, you just say, okay, let me see how this works with the current business I'm in.
correct,
That's the
correct.
key. That's the key.
You have to, Mark. I mean, right now, not to go off on stuff, but I'm
Yeah.
really starting to build into YouTube. I mean, that's my focus for this year is YouTube. Period, and that's the whole other conversation.
Well, let's
But
talk about that. Let's do it. I have a whole list of questions and a structure, but I'd rather just keep this really conversational. So YouTube, I'm big into YouTube as well. I love a video. I love doing videos. I love watching videos. So
mhm.
you have when did you start your YouTube channel?
Man, about 2 years ago, probably.
Okay. And just for like success wise, I'm sure you didn't see any results at all. Are you seeing
Mm-hmm.
results now that you've been 2 years? That's a good amount of time.
Yeah, yeah. It's all of a sudden lately I'm starting to see results. I partner with a guy named Mike with the XP Realty who has got a great YouTube channel, and so he's got Social Media Academy and some great tools. So I've started to learn from him the last 3 or 4 months. But it kind of so I had two channels. One of them was really not even a very good channel, and I started this organic channel. I got my iPhone and I started walking through homes like this, and I would just do a 3 or 4 minute video with it, and then I started dumping them on YouTube. And my primary goal, first of all, was with a buyer, I would say, "Hey, do you want me to video this home and send it to you, and you can watch it later?" And they say, "Oh, that'd be really nice of you. That'd be awesome." Like, okay, so I would take it, and if it was 3 or 4 minutes, I'd try to text it to them, and it would not text because it was too
Right.
long of a video. Then
Yeah.
the iPhone says, "Which clips do you want to take off?" And so I started that way, and I'm like, man, what am I going to do? Wait, I'll just start a YouTube channel. I'll dump it on YouTube, use their server, and then send them the link. And it started working, and they liked that. Oh, this is so easy. I can share it with somebody, and all of a sudden I'd get 5, 10, 20, 50 views on it. I'm like, is there something here? So I
Yeah.
kept doing that over and over, and then it's just kind of naturally progressed to me walking through a home and getting a couple hundred views, which I understand is not bad. And then I did one over off Lake Hollingsworth, and it didn't go viral, but it's got 35,000 views,
I
and
saw
it
that.
just it kind of
watched you last night, and
Yeah.
it's a beautiful home, but you have
It's the
engagement.
home. Yes.
Over 70 comments. Like that's a good YouTube. That's a great YouTube video, and it's so funny
Yes.
because you can tell. Like now, the videos you make now, I see you're in front of the house and you're introducing it and you're talking and you're presenting yourself. There's lower
Yes.
third graphics. That one, you just had. You were just wiggling through the house.
You could hear the guy next door working on the next door home under construction.
Yeah.
It was just, and if I would encourage agents, I would just say, man, get your phone. Better done is better than perfect. Go get it done. It's not going to be perfect. Don't judge yourself. People don't care as much about you and what you say and how you look and how you present it as you think they do.
Right.
We're
right.
our own worst critic. So just go shoot it, get it done, and make it happen. I'm learning that. I'm continuing to learn that. Just get it done. So I just started doing that, and just over the last month, I finally hired a videographer. We're doing 2 videos a week. Yeah. I just literally started. So a couple that you've seen, I still feel very raw and very this and that, but I'm learning and I'm growing, and I know a year from now, the videos will be much better. It's just reps.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like when you started lead generating or writing contracts, right? You didn't know. Well, none of us knew what to do, and then we did it enough, and then you learn it. So, well, let's pivot a little bit. Let's talk about, you have a team, correct? Can you talk about what that looks like, the structure, and then what the overall model is of it?
Yeah. So it's my business partner and I, Russ Rhodes. So we've been both doing it, 20 plus years in the business. So we have a small team. We have 2 full-time administrative assistants. And then we have another agent who is with us now. He did their $7 or $8 million last year in business. So, decent business. Yeah. And then we have a couple other agents that are newer that we're grooming and kind of, working with. But we have a good team.
Perfect. Let me ask you
always
how
learning.
The 7 or 8 million. I know a lot of team leaders would, if you're running a team and you have an agent selling 7 or 8 million, that's a solid agent, right? Mm-hmm. How did you find that person?
He's been in the business probably 17 years, and he contacted Russ because he had a good relationship with Russ and said, I'm leaving this team and I want to talk to you about joining your team. And he's a good guy, man. Yeah, he's great. He's seasoned. He's low maintenance. He does his job. And so Russ said, yeah, let's sit down and talk. And we did. And he's been with us 2-3 years now.
That's great. So then let's talk about the new agent. So did you recruit them? Was it organic relationship based like that? And then follow up too.
Yeah, good question. It was organic, really. It's kind of funny. So the senior pastor at our church, his wife wanted to get her license. I'm like, you'd be good at this. You can talk good and you're aggressive, and I think you'd be great. So she got her license. She's a showing assistant. She's showing a couple homes for me right now as we speak.
Look at that.
Which frees my time up, which is wonderful. And yes, and then I've got a guy over in the Orlando area, in the Windermere area, and he's a new license. But again, just organic relationships, and he has a full-time job, so he's very part-time. So we'll see, kind of how much he wants to do. So, but then we're talking to a few other agents. So it's just, we're not super aggressive in that, but we're trying to see kind of how this is supposed to work and how we can build our time, invest in some other agents.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. And so I also, when in researching you, you have this big passion for educating agents and helping them, right? With you and your partner, 40 years of experience. That's crazy. That's amazing. So do you have, what's your plan of attack, or what's your game plan when you're going to train an agent? Or is it more like with your new agents? Is it more like whenever you reach out to me, I'm available? Or is there a structure that comes along with it?
I mean, that's a great question. And I'm telling you, I am in process learning that. Definitely going to be organic and call or text, let's have conversations, shadow me, that sort of thing. So it's been a little bit of everything. However, I'm also a certified mentor with EXP. So they have a structured program to go ahead and go through some classes that way too. But I don't know about you, but there's a guy in Orlando who I'm helping right now. He said, when can I spend time with you? I want to go on a listing appointment with you. I want to ride around the car or meet you at 4 homes to show. That's going to be the best hands-on experience, because you and I know you pass the test. You may use, I don't know, 5% of what you learn on the test when you get in the market. Maybe. Thank you.
No, I would say 1%. And that was just saying the word real estate is the similar. I joke now with any agent that just passed. I'm like, if I took it today, there's no way I would pass the test. There's no way.
Man. No way. No. Way too many memorization things,
Yeah. Yeah. So you have them shadow you, and in real time, do they like? How do you feel about that? Because I have new agents too, and they want to shadow, and I've shadowed them. But like going to a listing appointment specifically, are you cool with saying this is my new agent? He's going to watch. Like, how do you prep that?
Yeah, I do prep them. I just say, hey, this is Bill. He just joined our team, and we're just kind of doing some training, and he's going to learn and observe. And he may have a few questions and a few things. It's always better to have another set of eyes at a listing appointment. You would
Yeah.
agree with that, right, Mr. and Mrs. Seller? And so yeah, just kind of tag along, and they're typically totally fine. Okay, great, that's great. So
Right.
just kind of create that expectation, that environment right away.
And then do you debrief after the appointment to kind of have them ask questions, or what's
Yes.
that situation look like?
For sure. Yeah. Say, hey, so what'd you think about it? Give me some feedback. What questions do you have right now? You just took in a lot of information, because we had the whole listing presentation. We did our tour. We had questions. We had our market analysis, went over the marketing, everything that we typically do. So tell me about what kind of questions you have. What did you not understand? What did you feel? And give me some constructive criticism. What could I have done better?
Yeah, I always
How
think
could
that when I'm in an appointment, I'm like, I was the only one there. I think I was good. I think I said the right thing. But having a second set of eyes, I'm all the time. I'm like, can somebody just watch me real quick and just note me?
Yes. Oh man,
Right?
I'm telling you, Mark, I'm always learning, man. Even the last 6 months, percentages say, if you don't walk away from your listing appointment with a signed contract, if you're interviewing now, if it's
Yeah.
with a referral, a sphere of influence, when they already know, like, and trust you, you're probably going to get the listing, right? But if
Right.
it's a referral based lead, which I do a few of those, you walk away, you really don't know if you're going to get the listing. And I've
Correct.
had great smiles and, well, yes, this and that, and I walk
Hugs.
away and they're like, they're gone. So I'm really trying to be. I would encourage everybody listening to this, be a stronger closer at the listing appointment, especially if you're interviewing for it. And I'm again in process with this now. Ask some tie down questions. I'm just like you're doing now. You're helping training agents. I'm watching other people and how they do that, and
So
just
let's
to
say
try to secure it.
let's go down that road really quick, because you're a seasoned agent. You've sat in thousands of listing appointments. So what are some good tie downs that you think is, like a secret weapon for you? Obviously, they always say the same stuff. They just say it in different order, right? Every objection,
Hmm.
there's not like this hidden objection. They're all pretty similar. But what are some maybe not too common that we all know what to do, but what are some that you feel like are really good that you are like, oh, I always know how to say when I say this, it works every time?
Well, here's what I'm going to start doing. So here's some of the stuff I'm going to start doing is bringing a paper listing agreement with me. Okay, so
Okay.
a lot of my stuff is paper, some's digital, and then just kind of I watched a lady the other day do this, and she said, "So everything sounds good. That's great. Well, so are you going to be leaving the washer dryer in that?" She'll get the listing agreement. She'll start writing. So we're going to include the washer dryer. Okay, great. What did you want to? You think you're 2 weeks out? Should we date it here? And she starts dating the listing agreement. I haven't done this yet, but I
That's
love it.
I like that.
So,
So
and
she
sometimes
starts
they'll
making a
go,
game plan in real time as if they already said yes, right?
correct, right. She's assuming that they're going to do that. And then they may go, oh, whoa, whoa, are we listing right now? Well, is there something else we need to talk about? So um, I actually I'm learning to ask the hard question if I'm interviewing at the very end. And I've been doing that more lately. Like, so are you talking to other agents? Yes, we are. Okay. Well, so tell me what you're really looking for in an agent. Tell me a little bit about that. What would your expectation be with hiring an agent? Try to kind of get that out. And then what other questions did I not answer for you today? And when they tell me, Mark, what they're looking for in an agent, I try to circle back around and overcome that objection and tell them how I'm
Isolate it,
meeting what
right?
they're looking for. And so, man, I'm just, I'm a high I personality.
Yeah.
And so I've got a coach. Sometimes on the high I, it feels uncomfortable to go for a strong close. So, and I don't want to be salesy. I want to be very relational, just like you are, very relational.
Right.
So I'm still learning how to do that. But here's the thing. I don't want to walk away and then call them a week later and go, yeah, we went with somebody else. Like, shoot, why did I not step out of my comfort zone and be more aggressive and try to go for the close? So I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I'm in the middle of being better at that as we speak.
Well, me too. And I try to keep in my mind, if they don't sign with me, then the other person they hire won't help them as much as myself. I already know how I can help them achieve their goal or sell their house or help buy a house. So that's how I tie down, is like I don't say that out loud. I'm like, the other guys suck, right? But I say, right. In my heart, I'm like, they're not going to do it. I genuinely have the confidence. I know I can handle a problem, so that's where it comes from.
I love it.
That tie down. Yeah, that's a good
I
tie
love
down.
that, man. I love that.
Thanks.
Because, hey, what you just, and I mean that too, because I'll leave, and if I don't get it, I'll tell my wife or something like, they hired the wrong agent. I'd have done a better job.
I know. I think that every time.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have to think that. You have to believe in yourself.
Yep.
Even if you're going to a listing that's a little bit over your head, maybe it's a $2 million or $1 million, whatever. We don't have a ton of that around here. But you just like, no, I'm going to be the best person for you in the job, man. You got to believe that.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it, right? But you got to know that.
And also, there's, again, every transaction is similar. There's not this new, if there's an appraisal issue or an inspection issue, like we've all done those before. It just might be a specific situation that's different. So just know that whatever problem arises, I'll solve it in real time. Let me ask you this, because I'm curious, because I'm starting to ask everybody this. What comes first in training, the lead generation or the contract? I know how to be good at selling a home. What comes first for you? And there's no wrong answer. We could debate this with 50,000 agents, and you know what I mean?
I know, man. Boy, that's a great question. I would probably say the lead generation, right? Teaching them the basic 101. Probably just picking up the phone and making your calls and reaching out to people. Because if we get you in front of enough people, then we'll figure out how to write this contract up, because everything's done in .loop or e-sign now anyway. So usually you have 24 hours to get it over to them. So we've when I first started off at Caldwell Banker in 97 or 98, I remember, digital wasn't even here. Right. I would go over to Eleanor and I'd say, Eleanor, how do you write up a contract? And she wrote it. She took a regular purchase contract, handwritten. She said, okay, Brian, here's your template. Here's your new one. You just copy everything but the address and the price. You just kind of model this. And I remember going to her 5 or 6 times going, what do you do here again? What do you write in? And she just kind of walked me through that. But I was still talking to clients before I was writing down the paperwork.
Got it. Yeah, it's always and I kind of think the same thing, but everybody's different. And a lot of times I talk to agents who say I'm not confident to try to find business because I don't know what happens next. You know what I mean? So then I'm like, if you're not calling to get business, then you might know their contract. It's just a very interesting, you can do both at the same time, but it's hard to do when you have new agents or seasoned agents that need to buckle down a little bit.
It is, but hey, you and I know, what are most realtors not really good at?
Lead generation.
Okay, that too. That wasn't the answer that I was thinking.
That's funny.
Sorry. Is paperwork. I mean, most agents are sloppy with their paperwork. We are. I am. I'm not a full-time assistant because that's just not my strength. I'm average at it, but I'm not.
Well, that's why my response was we need to get better. We always need to go to lead generation, but we always, no matter how seasoned you are, right? No matter how good you are, the very few, just because the world's changed so much, it's very, and you can correct me if you still do this, but a lot of people do the 9 to 12 lead generation. That's how I learned. That's what I did. And now with Instagram, social media, and after COVID, after the pandemic, it's just the whole world communicates different. So it's really kind of, you know what I mean? There's not that 9 to 12, but now the lead generation, we have to get creative with it. And we have to figure out, I DM people or you comment on their stuff, right? It's a weird all sales, not just real estate. So that's why it's going back to like lead generation is, but we are bad at paperwork, but that's why you just get that's an easy fix. Transaction coordinator, that there's so many and you can pick from, and
It is. And to your point, well, honestly, whenever I get an offer, man, I love a good, clean contract written where it's got it makes me go, that's a good agent. I probably want to work with them, right? When they really dot their I's and cross their T's. I mean, seriously, that is a very positive thing, man. Get all your documents. Don't just send me a contract and don't send me an addendum and a lead-based paint and a seller's disclosure and your pre-qual letter. Don't make me do extra work, just send everything at one time. If you miss a few spots, that's okay. We're not perfect, but send me a good package because it's going to make the transaction go smoother. And I'm going to already have a good first impression of you as a real estate agent versus if you just kind of hodgepodge this thing and just send it in spurts.
Yeah, it's literally a cooperating broker, right? And that cooperation is the key word. And if I see somebody coming in, or vice versa, if I'm presenting myself, I'm like, look, we're going to work as a team on this. And that's just the best way to do it. Otherwise, I don't understand why agents puff their chest up and want to battle each other. I just don't understand that.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
We're all going to the same thing, man. It's going to be great. So you're in Lakeland. What's your number one, like your business? Like, what is it? Is it referral? Is it Sphere? Is it online leads? What's your number one source of income?
It is sphere of influence. Probably 80 to 90% is past clients and sphere of influence.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So for those seasoned agents that are in maybe their fifth year or their fourth year, they now have a database full of past clients, maybe 40, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do at that time frame, or what would you say now you would do to make that into referral business? Because right now you've done it for 20 years. You probably get phone calls every day. I can't wait for that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's you've earned that. You've earned the time with that. But if once you start to, because with a new agent, they're like, I don't have a past client database. But once you hit year 3, 4, 5, you do.
Yes.
But it's small,
Yes.
smaller.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do? How would you? What would you be your strategy
To that person maybe who's 3, 4, 5 years in the business?
like
Are you
that,
saying?
if you
Yeah.
go back in time? Yeah. What do you do?
Yeah, man. Just stay in touch with them. It sounds so, but hit them up on a phone call every 3 or 4 months, right? Shoot them a text. Put them on an email drip campaign, so they're seeing your face every month on a market campaign or a newsletter. I'm doing some newsletters also through Outbound. I believe it's called Outbound Engine. So they have a nice, clean newsletter, and so I'm just staying in front of them now. And another thing too, not just that, I'm really trying to be more of a hyper local agent in the market here. So my branding on Facebook. A lot of social, YouTube, like we talked about, but I really try to post something every day on Facebook, no matter what it looks like. And it doesn't always have to be real estate related. So they're seeing me constantly in their feed, and I'm coming to top of mind. So
Becoming omnipresent. That's what I like to say. Right?
Yes, exactly right. Yes. Yeah. And hey, I've got a few bus benches around town, old fashioned bus benches, but they're mini billboards, man. And they're cheap,
Yeah.
and people will take a picture of it. I saw you, I'm like, okay, cool. It's working, but that's very passive, slow marketing. I've gotten 1 or 2 calls direct from that. That's not the point. Is be top shelf, be top of mind, be omnipresent, be everywhere. And the funny thing about these bus benches, again, I'm not here to say, oh, go get a bus bench. But if you get 2 of them, people think it's called the law of multiplicity. They think you've got 4 or 5. They think they're everywhere. And I've got 2. I had 3 or 4 at one point, but a couple of strategic and great locations.
You can go on your phone and go take a picture of you on a bus bench and then put it on social media as well, right? That's a
good idea.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, because then you're killing 2 birds, right? It's very omnipresent. Yeah. People are like, he's got a bus bench. He's big time. Smoking mirrors.
People sit on me all day, man. They lean on me all day.
That's fantastic. Well, let's talk about your focus outside. Like, you're still in full production, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Like, how many homes did you sell last year in 2022?
I think last year I did around 65 or 70.
What? How are you still happy?
Yeah, I know, right? No, last year was my biggest year in production. I had 28 million last year in production on an average price of $350 in Polk County. So it was a great year, man.
Well, let's talk about that. I was going to ask you a different question, but how did you manage that? I mean, that's a lot of multiple transactions at once. Are you structured?
Mm-hmm.
Do you wake up and are you that guy who wakes up and I'm going to check my emails from 7 to 8? I'm going to do this, or do you just kind of go?
So I am not hyper structured, but I am okay. So, and this is really important. And this is for anybody. So when I got back into business, I did ministry full time for about 6 or 7 years and got back into it in 2015. And so I would get up, I don't know, not whenever I wanted, but 9, 10, get up, get dressed, put jeans on. My mindset was not where I needed to be. So finally, after about a year or 2 in the business, I'm having to interview again. I'm having to kind of crank the business back up. I'm like, man, first of all, I need to look better. So, and again, nothing wrong with if you wear jeans every day. Do not hear that, please.
You just wanted you were thinking about your brand overall, right?
My brand, I need to have a good first impression, because whenever I go into a listing appointment, if I'm interviewing, any little leg up I can have is going to help me. Okay.
Well, make you feel better, right? Emotionally, physically, mentally.
Yes. Thank
right?
you.
Yep.
Thank you. Yes. So every day I do get up and I get fully dressed like I am now. Yesterday I worked from home most of the day, but I was just like this. So why? If I had to go up and show a home at 11 o'clock, I'm ready to go. If I run into somebody at Publix picking up something at 8 o'clock, I'm ready to go. I don't want to run into somebody at Publix and be in my shorts and my hat at 9 a.m. and then go, hey, I was thinking about calling you, but are you still doing real estate?
Yeah. Are you unemployed?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm serious. So it's little, but it is the mindset, Mark, to
No,
your point,
I
is
love
getting
that
up.
though, because to be honest, I'm the shorts. That's how I built my brand. I'm the shorts and t-shirt hat guy, right? And I know there's a lot of them.
Yes.
But when I go in and somebody's like, "Are you doing real estate?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do it all the time. I do it 24." So it's your brand. There's no wrong way to do it. And I go back and forth
No.
all the time. I'm like, should I wear a suit today or should I do that? I was like, no.
No.
Then I would make people. They would look at me the same way. They'd be like, did you get out of real estate? Why are you wearing that?
Are you on release or something?
Yeah, what's going on with you? Why do you look so? Yeah, you look too dressed up. So
Right.
you dressed up. So yeah, talk about the structure. Sorry.
So I know we could go, but it's just more structured. So I am up and I'm dressed ready to go at 8:30. I'm checking my email. I'm on my phone. I start lead genning at 9 every day. So
Okay.
and it's a 2 hour. It's 9 to 11. And I will tell you, I've got good days sometimes. I've got bad days, right? I get distracted like everybody. I'm working a deal. I'll get distracted, but I'm in my home office 9 to 11, and the focus is lead gen. And so then I'm available for appointments after that point. And so
Oh, I
really
like
camping
that.
out
I've never
there.
heard that term. I'm available for performance. That's cool. I like that.
Yes, I am at that point, and that's it. So, and then the rest of the day would be flexible with appointments, more lead gen, negotiating contracts, talking to buyers and sellers, meeting with clients. However, then about 4:30 or 5, I'm at the gym. Period. So once in a while, I will meet with somebody, and I'll bump my gym time to later or in the morning. But
Okay.
I'm pretty much going to be at the gym during that time. Period. Now, if I have an evening appointment, which I don't do as much, then I'll, run home, shower, change, do whatever, and go back out for an evening appointment. So, but man, I tell you, the longer I've been in the business, the less evening appointments I have to have, which is a blessing,
Yeah.
as I like my family time. I got 3 kids, 3 teenagers. So, that's a big
Oh,
job right there. But
yeah.
but I really try to protect that time. So, I can have some flex on that, but it is pretty structured to your question is
Yeah,
I'm
because
definitely going to be doing these things.
that's a better skill set than lead generation and writing contracts and teaching agents is how to control $28 million in volume, 65 or 75 units. And I know you said you have a transaction coordinator, but the conversations and how many fires did you put out, and how many heart-to-heart conversations did you have with buyers and sellers? So did that take a toll at all? Or are you at a point where you can kind of be unemotional about some of that stuff?
So truth is, 2 years ago, 2021, I did 23 million.
Okay.
Market was booming. Okay. I
Sure. That
was
was, yeah, I say that
exhausted.
was like, we all were like playing the lottery.
We all, it was, it,
And we all won.
yeah,
It was easy.
we did. It was
Yeah.
crazy. It was great. But Russ and I were sharing a transaction coordinator, full-time assistant. We were sharing her, and she was doing mine and his, and he did more than I did that year. He did 27, 28 million. So we did about 50
You
between
guys are
us.
monsters. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
it was a crazy year. It was great. It was wonderful, but she was handling everything. And so I was doing a lot. Man, by November, December, I was wiped out. Then I hired Shelby, who's with me now, in
Okay.
January of last year. And man, I will tell you, I did that production last year, but with her, it made life so much better and easier. I don't feel like I worked as hard as I did the year before, and I did more transactions and made more money. She is my specific assistant, and she's just lifted a load off of me big time.
So let's talk about her then, because everybody always wants to know how to hire or what to hire. Is she local or is she remote?
She's local. She's
Okay.
local. I do have a VA that I hired about a year and a half ago that does some lead gen for me and some of that. But Shelby is local. She lives in the
Is she
area here,
licensed,
and
or has she had real estate experience, or did you have to teach her?
so it's kind of funny. So 2 things. She used to answer the phones for Remax on weekends. Is how I first met her years ago. But then I showed her and her husband a home 2-3 years ago, and I remember meeting her and thinking, if I ever did something, she seemed like she's nice,
Yeah.
young and sharp, and got a teacher background, so she's good at just talking to people.
Yeah.
talking to kids, which some of our clients can act like children. So I think that's probably a good thing, right? I'm kidding.
Right. I
But
can too. So if I
yeah,
got
same
around,
here. I never grow up, man. I'm
yeah.
with you. Yeah. So I thought about, when to do this. And so I talked to my business partner, said, Russ, I can't do this. I need my full-time assistant. So I put an ad on Facebook and I said, hey, here's what I'm thinking. I need looking for an assistant. And I got some hits on it, and she contacted me and said, are you still looking? And I said, yeah, love to talk to you. So I had her do, with my previous brokerage, there was a certain skills test you could take.
Yep.
And I had her do that skills test. My coach suggested that, and she fit all the boxes. I had a previous young lady do it before who I thought I was going to hire. She did not fit the skills boxes at all. So much as I wanted to, she would not have been good. So Shelby checked all the boxes, and she's been a great assistant, and she loves what she does. So it's been a real win-win.
Yeah. So how, let's go to like when she first started. Did you sit down and did she shadow you, or did you talk her through it? Was it trial by fire? How did you build a structure out? Because that's what all of us hire, especially at a certain level. And nobody teaches us how to do that. They suggest, or you can YouTube it or Google it, right? But nobody really knows how until you go through the process. So what was your process like of training and getting her up to speed where it was a real leverage?
She really shadowed Pat, which I'm very fortunate to have Pat. So Pat is our other assistant still. So
Great.
she really trained her, which was major,
Yeah. That's amazing. So then what does she provide for you on a transaction? The usual, like uploading the documents to, SkySlope or KW or wherever that is, right? And then also communicating with cross agent stuff. But what does she do anything else? What are her tasks?
Man, she does a little bit of everything. So she does transaction coordinator. She's helped me with some social media. She'll post on my Facebook business page. I usually do, Mark, it's worked out good. Whenever it's an owner occupied property, I actually have her meet me at the property and measure and make notes. And she gets to meet the seller, which
That's
I'm
cool.
learning is great for,
Yeah.
building relationships
Oh
because she's
yeah.
going to be, talking to them.
Well, then
So
it feels
that's
more like
worked out
a
really good.
really like a team's helping that client as opposed to the handoff helping a client, right? Of like, here, now you're going to, so if that's
Yes,
cool. I like that. That's really cool. So she
it's
helps
worked
do
good.
all that.
So, but she does a little bit of everything.
And then we won't talk numbers, but do you pay her on a yearly basis, weekly basis, monthly? Like, how'd you figure that all out?
So we paid her a little bit more than she was making as a teacher. So we pay her a nice salary, but she also makes bonuses per transaction too. So every transaction the team does, she gets paid a bonus off of the team, Russ and I too, because she will pinch hit for our other assistant and she'll help out once in a while. So we want to motivate them and them to have ownership and buy-in at our, if we do 10
Of the
deals, if we
company.
do 12,
Right.
15 deals, a couple months last year, we had 20, 22 deals. I'm like, those are some good bonus checks, man. That's nice incentives.
Yeah, I
So
love that. I love that because then what the time she invests in on whatever, I like that term pinch hit too. I've never heard that. That's amazing. When she pinch hits,
yeah,
she knows that, and whatever you guys do, the energy she puts in, she's going to get compensated for it, which is I like that bonus structure. That's cool. Yeah, everybody needs
yeah,
an
it
amazing
motivates them.
assistant. Yeah, it does motivate them, and it keeps them invested into the growth and into the success. That's amazing. We kind of went on a tangent because I didn't realize how much you sold last year on your own. You had a team, but as a single agent, like that is insane. 28 million
Mm-hmm.
bucks. That's really cool.
Thank you, man.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you.
So we have about 7 or 8 minutes left. So let's dive into your focus outside. So what's your focus now besides production? Because I was going to ask that question. Then you said you sold $20 billion of real estate last year. And I had to ask how.
Yeah, man, it is still production, but I'm going, as you know, the market has tightened up. So I'm really trying to get better at my skill sets because the agents who have better skill sets and who know how to overcome objections and just do the basics, there was a realtor in our market who said years ago, Brian, real estate is not rocket science. I never forget her saying that. And it's so
Yeah.
true. It's not super complicated. I'm not that smart. It's not that hard. It's relationship building. It's doing the basics. It's doing them well. It's discipline. It's being nice to people. It's treating people with respect. It's just, coming from a mindset of truly helping people is really kept me centered.
Yeah.
If you have commission breath, people will smell it. If you're pressing too much, and sometimes if I'm short on a closing month and I'm pressing in for a buyer or seller, I'm like, well, what am I doing? I don't press in because they can feel it, they can tell, and that will turn them off. And you always want to do the right thing. This is a long-term business, and you want to always do the right thing because no matter what, agents that are in this for the short, quick buck, they don't last. They come and
No.
go. You can predict them. You can see it when you're working with them. So that's always got to be a focus of mine every day. It's a mindset.
Yeah.
And it's a constant, like, I've got to be mindful of this. I can't just, go off. So I'd say production and doing the basic things. And
So what are you doing?
Really, again, I'm leaning into video.
Are there any courses? So video and basics, right? Are you taking courses or do you have any new tools or apps or websites or anything you've been adding to your repertoire to kind of check back in?
For the videos, you mean,
Let's do. You said to stay in production and make your skills sharper. Which again, 20-year veteran of real estate to say I want to sharpen my skills. How do you do that? What are your courses or yeah?
Yeah, I like Tom Ferry. I listen to a lot of Tom Ferry. He's good. I mean, he talks to a lot of top producing agents. I went to his big summit last year, and never been to it. And just some amazing agents. They do 28 million in a month. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm kidding you, but they're just high producing agents. So, I mean, leaders are learners. So if you want to lead, you got to always be learning. I don't care if you're 8 years, 20 years, whatever in the business. If you're not learning, if you don't stay humble, you're not going to grow. And I'm all about learning and being around sharper agents, which I love what you're doing with your podcast. I think it's tremendous, and I applaud you for doing it. It's just we do want to sharpen each other. So just listening to a lot of thought leaders.
Conferences are good. Yeah, conferences are really good.
They are.
It's tricky because it's such a big piece out of your year, out of your weekend, and it's costly if you're selling a good amount of real estate. You're not stressed about that. But it's the time that I'm like, oh man, I want to go to this, but it's a full weekend and it's in Los Angeles, but even listening, I'm like, I do learn the most there. I think most people do, just because the energy, it's not just listening to a podcast. It's not just watching a YouTube video. It's the energy that you're getting from other successful agents that you can feed off of. And that's a different beast in itself.
And you make yourself go in that environment and you have to focus on that for 2 or 3 days, right? I mean, you have to live in that. So as real estate agents, at least a couple times a year, make yourself go to a weekend conference. Make yourself go to a one-day conference. That's a minimum, because we have to self-discipline those training, or else we're just going to try to do it on our own strength. And it's hard, man. Got to always be learning.
That's awesome. Well, let's, I could talk to you for hours, man. I'll be honest. Like you
got great questions. This is awesome.
You're full of good stuff. Well, I just try to learn in a short, I time myself so we can so other people can learn as well. So real quick, before we sign off, where can people reach you? Are you open book? It seems like you are, but where can people find you if they want to reach out or ask any questions?
Yeah, very much so. I'm very accessible. So my cell phone is 863-647-8600. And my tagline is, whether selling or buying, you got to call Brian.
Ooh,
just saying. So yeah, man. Yeah, I bought the domain too. So
good for you.
Anyways, but yeah, so my email is realtorbrianstevens@gmail.com. So I'd love to connect with you, talk to you, answer any questions, have conversations. I would love to.
Awesome. Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show. And you've been an awesome guest, and I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Mark. Thanks for having me on. I really do appreciate it, man.
Of course. All right. See ya.
Thanks. Have a good day. Thanks. See ya.
Thanks for listening to my interview with Brian Stevens. That was a good one. My biggest takeaway was definitely how he was looking for an assistant, and he found a former teacher and paid her more than a teacher's salary. So that is, again, super basic, but very smart. Most teachers would rather work for a real estate agent. I don't know though. Teaching's pretty fun, but that was super powerful to my head. And he gave us a lot of other tips, which I really appreciate, Brian. And you know what else I appreciate? You for listening. Thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and do so that you get notified every time we drop a new episode. And also, if you give us a 5-star review on the podcast situation, then our podcast actually will get pushed to more agents just like you, and it'll help us out a lot. So we would truly appreciate that. Thanks for listening. See you on the next one.